Hey guys, it's me, EODGamer here, and some of you might be thinking of pulling this one's Sparkle's limited Lightcone. I'll give you a TLDR, I really think it's whale bait. Not because it's like a jabait where you get totally scammed of your resources and stuff. It's a legit whale bait because I think it's pretty darn good. Very, very strong in fact. And we have a lot of things that we're gonna might have to like pull for upcoming. So definitely the Hoyoverse is very, very smart about it. They always like to do this. They always like to put out like very, very meta stuff just before a new character that is like supposedly like everyone is hyped about comes into the mix. Let me explain why I think this is really strong and why I think it's a whale bait. Whale bait is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just forcing people to like spend a bit of resources to extract that resource to hopefully generate some money for the company. If you think about the perspective, let's just like look at the ideology of like who would actually be pulling for Sparkle. It's probably people that have Imbibitor Lune, right? Imbibitor Lune, Jingyuan, or you don't have Runmei, maybe you didn't care about Runmei's design. So all of these kind of characters actually do want to actually pull Sparkle, and this is when you probably saved out a bit of resources, skipping Runmei and stuff like that. That is when they want to drain you out in this banner, both for Sparkle as well as this Lightcone itself. This is a very, very, very strong Lightcone. It increases the wearer's crit damage by 32%. Straight away, Sparkle can transfer this like crit damage over to the rest of the team, so it's fantastic for her. Start of the battle, and she gains this like mask ability that lasts 3 turns when the wearer has this mask, which means if any of you who are playing with any character who's like 0 turning, this is a massive whale bait because a lot of the whales will just be using like 3 of this, having like many crit damage, and if you can like transfer it from Bronya over as well, you immediately get massive amounts of gains. There is no word here that says you can only use 1. So if any of you are large spenders, consider getting 2 S1s. They'll be super strong as well, just to have in your roster to be a massive hyper carry with Sparkle and Bronya. So 32% and increasing your like the wearer's crit damage, and on top of that, you also gain this mask ability that increases your whole team's crit rate by 10%. That's a 20% CV. On top of that, you gain a 28% crit damage buff to your whole team. Very, very strong. You don't have all the other nonsense that is maybe not even needed. You just purely buff crit rate, crit damage. 10%, 28% that all your allies also. Whereas allies, I guess it doesn't apply to themselves. So you only get 32 and not as if you get this additional 28. But this 32% of course can be transferred using, of course, either Bronya's out and Sparkle's out. The caveat here, it'll be too broken if it has like 100% uptime for every single character in the game. For every 1 skill point the wearer recovers, including the skill points that exceeds the limit, which means that if let's say you are like 5 out of 5 and you probably if you basic attack, I guess it's considered as a recovery as well, and you exceed that limit, it still counts as a sack. So it's not as if it's like wasted and stuff. Adds it a bit more utility. When you then gain like 1 stack of Radiant Flames. So you need to regen at least 4 skill points in order for you to gain this mask that lasts another 4 turns. So you basically, if you basic attack kind of thing, I would assume for any other character in the game, they don't exactly say we have to test it out, but that's my assumption because it's kind of ridiculous if only characters, for example, like Sparkle, as well as characters, for example, like maybe, I don't know, Hanya can use this. I think basic attacks are also considered. So you have like 1 turn downtime, basic attack, and then you get it back. But in reality, you're going to have not that much uptime if you're not Sparkle because your Harmony characters are probably not going to basic attack that much. Why do I think it's still very good? For any of whales, that's why I said at the very beginning is whale bait. If you look at the efficiency of this, 10% crit rate, you have 2 Harmony characters, Bronya and Sparkle, and you're 0 turning, looking to like 0 turn. There's a 20% crit rate, 56% crit damage buff. You're basically putting a Yukong into a Lightcone. That is ridiculously stupid, brutally broken. Of course, it's very, very expensive because you might not need like more than 1. We will do more testing out. If you guys are interested, leave me a comment as well. We can definitely try it out. For the normal player, for you and I, maybe we are not like whales. We don't care about 0 turning the whole entire memory of chaos and whatnot. It doesn't really matter too much. It's strong, it's good, but there are many alternatives. And let's jump into that and let's see the other characters in Honkai Star. Let me just load up the engine real quick. Okay, so now, I want to give you, let's narrate first on the characters that can use it. I think out of like all the Harmony characters in the game, the ones that use it best probably are characters that are skill point positive. I would say like Hanya, since she does regen and she is like naturally positive, doesn't have to like basic attack all the time. Of course, Sparkle herself is going to be very, very good. Bronya on first thought might sound good with it because of the crit, her ability to, for example, like transfer all that crit damage over. But if you think about it later on, means that she's only going to have uptime for like the first 3 turns. Thereafter, if you're in like Memory of Chaos, probably that's going to run out. So unless you are maybe 0 turning everything, you can consider it. If you are not 0 turning, you are like normal folk, probably not going to be as useful. She probably will only have that 32% in the main stat. And free to play, quote unquote free to play, because you can kind of like save up for this and exchange it, is much better for like Bronya, which gives her exactly what she needs, the energy restoration and stuff like that. Not to mention, of course, that Sparkle has much lower energy cost than a lot of these other Harmony units in the game. Ronmi, of course, doesn't give a shit about the crit damage, so really it's only Bronya and Sparkle. In terms of versatility, not so high if you're not a massive whale. And let's now talk about the other alternatives, which I think are really, really strong. You don't need it if you're free to play. It's a very nice to have whale bait, but I don't think it's a critical thing because there's so many other Lightcones that you can use too. The first one that comes to mind, I think if you are playing mono teams, for example, you're playing mono Quantum, she benefits from that, is of course Planetary Rendezvous is on the banner as well. If you can pick any of these up, if maybe you're pulling a little bit, don't go too hard on the weapon Lightcone banner. You can use this for mono Quantum teams. It's very niche, but generally works well as we scale up into the very, very end game. More teams tend to be like more mono. That's how it goes. Past Self and Mirror, Memories of the Past, these are more like a break effect kind of sets. Memory of Past is a bit of energy restoration. Her energy restoration needs are not as high as a character like Ranmei, so I would say you can leave these two out. If you really wanted the energy restoration but the battle isn't over, Bronya's signature Lightcone is okay. It's a standard Lightcone. You get some energy regeneration, you get some skill point refund, additional skill point refund too, which is nice to have. But as a free-to-play player, you are using like other stuff. Dance, if you have it, this is of course very good. Please don't superimpose this Lightcone. There are cheese strategies that I talked about in my team comp video for Sparkle. If you haven't seen that, check it out on the channel. This one might even be abusable. Don't superimpose it and make sure you check it out as well. But Dance, very strong. You push up your whole entire team as well. The last two, of course, is Past and Future. This is limited Lightcone, limited 4-star, but not a gacha, not a battle pass one. I don't really like this one that much. It has a bit of push, but I don't think it's better than, for example, 20% damage buff by the other team members. If you have it at like S1, this is like 16% increased damage, whereas the other one, the free one from like this one here, it gives you like 20% already. You can get it at S5, so I don't know. I think it's like slightly inferior in my opinion. Next up, you have Carve the Moon, Weave the Clouds. This is of course a Battle Pass Lightcone. If any of you who are wealthier, you can afford spending money. Not all of us are, so just a quick note, this is also really strong. You buff attack, you buff crit damage, which is exactly what her whole kit is all about. Sparkle is also buffing crit damage and more energy restoration. Anyone can use it. I think this one is very good. Like Carve the Moon or Weave the Clouds is probably very useful for her. Then again, of course, you have to pay like at least what, $10, $15 depending on where you're from. Not very, very cheap either. I hope you guys found this very short video helpful. And if you are planning to get Sparkle, do check out these two other videos here that I think will be tons of help in case you want to like talk about that dance abusing comp. Check out this team video right here. I think you'll find it tons of fun. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. See you next video.